guys, welcome back. Another day, another video. Start off here with some Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition news. And the news is that another country has gone ahead and approved this deal. That country is South Africa. They've gone ahead and approved this deal without any conditions. Microsoft is not going to have to make any remedies for cloud, for console, or have any enforcement third parties involved with this deal, as South Africa has just gone ahead and approved it unconditionally, which adds to the list of countries now that have approved it, which are Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Chile, Serbia, Japan, and then we have here South Africa. So it's another small victory for Xbox and for Microsoft when it comes to the Xbox Activision Blizzard acquisition, but it's a very minuscule approval overall, because the big ones are going to be ruled on extremely soon, which is going to be the CMA at the end of April. I think it's April 26th. So in about 10 days, 9 days from now, it is going to be ruled on. And then we will have the EU has a deadline of May 22nd, and then we'll have the FTC, which is going to be probably the most interesting one, because analysts right now are saying in terms of the EU and this CMA that they are leading towards approving this deal. The question is going to be, what are the remedies that they are going to be imposing? Are they going to accept all of the 10-year deals that Microsoft have been offering, specifically when it comes to cloud gaming? We know that the CMA has already said there will be no harm to consoles, to the high-end console market. So the big question here now is, are they going to come to that same conclusion with cloud gaming, because Xbox has been offering these 10-year deals to pretty much anybody who wants it? And we will see if what they decide with the enforcement side of things, because that is the other thing they're going to have to rule on in terms of they're going to be happy with the enforcement that Microsoft is going to be coming up with, which is just getting a third party to rule on the remedies and conditions that they come up with this deal. And we'll see what happens. I mean, from what analysts and whatever people are thinking right now is that the EU and CMA are going to approve this deal, and seemingly with just behavioral remedies, it's going to come down to the FTC. Are they going to look at what the EU and CMA do and then decide to make a deal before going to court, which that date is set for August 2nd, which again, if you look at all the stuff that lawyers and people are saying, if they go to court, it seems like the FTC is going to lose pretty easily here. So I don't even think that the FTC is thinking about wanting to go to court. They're probably just waiting to see what the other bigger regulators do, because the big ones, again, are the ones that are going to make or break this deal. But another small victory here for Xbox and Microsoft, with South Africa going ahead and approving this deal. Now let's jump over here to some big news when it comes to Joseph Staten. We know Joseph Staten left Xbox last week. He had just announced it. He was leaving, going on to newer things. And now we know why he has left. And it is because he is joining Netflix. He put out a tweet saying, "Today, I'm thrilled to announce that I've joined Netflix Games as creative director for a brand new AAA multi-platform game and original IP." And the big thing out of this tweet to take away from everything here, I think, it's not just that Joseph Staten is going to Netflix. I mean, that is a pretty big hire for them, but that they are jumping into that AAA multi-platform genre, multi-platform arena. They're going to want to be out there taking on PlayStation, taking on Nintendo, and taking on Xbox. It is another player in the ring when it comes to the gaming industry on the AAA level. And we can go all the way back to when Phil Spencer talked about the real competitors of Xbox going forward being companies like Amazon and Google, and Netflix is one of those major competitors. It's not just an Xbox versus PlayStation thing now when you have a massive company like Netflix is trying to get into the ring by putting out big AAA games that are going to be available. And one thing that Netflix is doing right off of the bat is they are trying to make sure that their games are going to be available on as many devices as possible. That's right there when he emphasizes multi-platform game. They know in order to be successful, they're not going to be able to lock a big AAA game with tons of marketing and development costs just to Netflix subscribers. They're going to get this game out to as many ecosystems, make as much money off of Xbox and PlayStation as possible, so that they can continue to grow and make more AAA games, which is essentially what the Xbox strategy is. And you go back to the Xbox Activision Blizzard stuff, which is the main reason Xbox doesn't care about offering Call of Duty 10-year deals to all of these other platforms, because they know that's how you grow and make a ton of money, by more people playing it and then more people paying Xbox for the IP. So we'll see what comes out of this. It should be interesting. I mean, Joseph Staten has a pretty good pedigree as a creative director. I'm kind of excited to see what they come up with. Is it going to be a first-person shooter? Is it going to be like a Halo-style sci-fi shooter? Is it going to be something completely different? Third-person action? Maybe just a big RPG? Who knows? But it's a big move here by Netflix, and they're saying that we are serious about making AAA games by going out and hiring Joseph, and then him coming out and announcing what they are working on. So that's why he left 343, probably getting paid a hefty, good salary to come in here, and I would say essentially launch Netflix into the AAA genre of games. This is going to be a make it or break it for them in how successful they're going to be able to be within that arena, and if they're going to be able to continue to do this going forward, or is this going to be a one and done where it doesn't do well, nobody plays it, nobody buys it, and they just stick to continuously making mobile games, adding mobile games to the Netflix service. So lots of interesting stuff happening here. Jumping over here to a leaked screenshot, or some leaked screenshots here for Forza Motorsport, one of the big first-party Xbox games that is coming out in 2023. We don't know the exact release date yet, but I'm assuming we're going to be getting a release date for it at the June showcase that Xbox has. One of the things is, I think they just don't release it anywhere near Starfield, obviously, and they're not going to be releasing it anywhere near Redfall because it's not coming out in May. I released Forza Motorsport in a time frame to give space between all of the other big games, so people who have Xbox Game Pass are always having a big first party game to look forward to. Now, I have no doubt that this is going to be one of the best looking games this year, maybe one of the best looking games of this generation, to be completely honest, because of just how amazing the Forza games always look. I mean, even look at Forza Horizon 5, still one of the best looking games out right now to date, and Forza Motorsport will be no different. But we did get a leaked screenshot here, and this comes from it says here, the screenshots, the image displayed the watermark Triton, who is a frequent Twitch streamer. And despite the screenshot clearly showing that it originated from him, Insider Gaming reached out to Triton to speak of the credibility of the image and to ask whether or not he was the leaker. And he instantly denied that he was the one who leaked the image to Reddit, but did admit that the image was his. So this is a very obviously early screenshot of the game, or at least that's what it looks like. You look at the actual card itself, there's no detail on the card. It says pre-release software Triton. So take this for what it is, but I don't think this is going to be a real representation of what the final game is going to look like. Obviously, we know that people were testing this game out. I'm sure there's lots of people out there that potentially took pictures of it, and there may be more leaks coming out. But Forza Motorsport, either way, I'm very excited to see what they do with this game, with the new technology they've announced, with like the tire traction, all the different points on your tire, and then graphically. And from what we've seen so far with some of the previews and the trailers of it, of just how in depth graphically this game is going to look, I think it's going to be a huge showcase for the Xbox Series X and S. And let's sit and have our fingers crossed that this game is not pushed out too early, and it is completely well optimized, which generally with the Forza series, you never have to worry about that. But there is a leaked screenshot if you do want to go check out, and it's kind of, I don't know, zoom in and see what you can find for Forza Motorsport. And while we're talking about first party Xbox games, let's get back and let's talk about Redfall, as the biggest thing with Xbox over the last week or so has been the announcement that Redfall was 30 FPS at launch for the Xbox Series X and S. And there's a lot of debate going on back and forth as to why this is. One thing right off of the bat that I instantly counted out was that there's no way this is an Xbox Series X and Series S issue, and definitely a Series X specifically issue. You look at Redfall, it's not the most graphically intensive game. It is stylized. It's using Unreal Engine 4. There's absolutely no way why this game shouldn't be running at a smooth 60 frames per second on these consoles. My first initial thought obviously goes right to the developer, which it generally does. I know people love to throw even the Series S under the bus all the time, but the evidence out there so far throughout this generation is much more on the side of the Series S specifically, because the Series X is a given that it'll be able to do 60 FPS, but the Series S not holding back 60 frames per second, as developers who have been able to optimize games have been able to make games that run smoothly on the Series S, obviously not with the same graphical fidelity, but it is definitely possible. So the evidence so far that we've seen with tons of games having 60 FPS, even games having a 120 FPS mode on the Series S, is that when games they come out and they don't hit these performance targets, it is the developer's fault. It is not the console's fault. They haven't been able to optimize. They may not have had enough time. But now we have Digital Foundry here talking about some of the problems for Redfall to kind of put to rest the fact that it was the console's problem. So let's just listen to what they have to say about this.
Is right on the nose, where if they're not shipping, that means either the optimization pass isn't done specifically for console settings on the console there, or the entire game hasn't had an optimization pass, and maybe the settings that we'll see on PC won't allow you to get a good 60 FPS anyway, no matter what, kind of like Gotham Knights was, right? Where you could turn on those settings all you want and you'd get maybe like 5 to 10% more performance back on the CPU, but the entire game was unoptimized, so it wouldn't really help. I'm worried about that situation, on top of the fact that if it is being pushed early, maybe because PC requires other special considerations, shader pre-compilation, you need to make sure you're loading memory correctly. If you push out a game early, maybe these things are still not actually in like a gold shipping position yet, and you'll have memory issues at launch, crashes, I don't even know, like traversal stutter that doesn't need to be there if you actually did the memory management right for the launch date. There's a lot of things that happen here that where I would agree with the poster that I'm actually pretty sick and tired of having to go through a patch cycle of 10 really quick incremental patches that occur over the course of 2 to 3 months.
So there you have it. I'll leave it there. Again, it's an optimization problem. Digital Foundry is recognizing this. And I mean, this doesn't take away from the disappointment of what's going on with Redfall, them pushing this game out at 30 FPS on the consoles. It just goes back to this game again should have been delayed one more time. They should have taken that hit of delaying this game. I feel like at Xbox, they're sitting there and they know the sentiment right now from fans and from non-fans, people who just want to see the brand fail, is that Xbox promises and makes you wait and makes you wait and makes you wait. They didn't want to wait anymore and they're pushing the game out, which I think is backfiring currently. If they were able, maybe, who knows how long they needed. Maybe they needed an extra month for optimization. Maybe they needed an extra 2 months. But pushing it out 1 or 2 more months or however long they need to optimize this game would have been the better thing, more ideal. The other thing you got to think about is Starfield coming out in September. Maybe they're trying to make sure that the game doesn't release near Starfield because they don't want 2 big releases, one right after the other. They do want some space, which I think is a very smart thing. If you're Xbox with all the first party studios there, if you have games ready to go, you don't release them all at the same time. You let them cook. You sit there, you release one, and then you get people excited for the next one in 3 to 4 months. And that's probably what they were thinking as well. But it also comes down to, again, at the top, the people at the very top, the marketing guys and the studio managers, and specifically the top guys at Xbox. When you think about the inability right now to be able to handle situations like this and have these terrible PR scenarios from a marketing perspective and from a studio management perspective just before one of their biggest games this year is supposed to launch, which the game is still looking fun, still looking really good, and could come out and be an absolute stellar game. And even people playing it at 30 FPS are going to really, really enjoy it. That, though, what has happened so far with Redfall is a big mistake, I think, mainly from the marketing side of things. Not foreseeing how the announcement of it being 30 FPS on console was going to cause a literal breakdown across the entire community. So much so you have people out there thinking that it's the death of Xbox, which is an absurd take overall, because you sit back, you really look at everything that Xbox has been doing in 2023 from a Game Pass perspective, from an ecosystem perspective. It has been a phenomenal year with tons of great games to play. Now it's just finally delivering on that first party content. Redfall, when it does come out, 30 FPS on console, if it's a really fun game, it may make up for some of the disappointment until that 60 FPS patch does finally hit. But it is not the consoles. It is 100% the optimization, which generally is the problem when games are not running properly on any of the consoles, on the PS5, on the Series X and S, and even on the Nintendo Switch. So we'll see what happens and how long it will take for Arcane to release the patch. But again, my money is still on this game being very good, as Arcane has not missed. So I will still be checking it out. Maybe be checking it out on PC. I'll probably check it out on Xbox as well and kind of see the big difference there with the 30 FPS on Xbox versus a nice smooth 60 FPS on PC. But I will leave the video there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this stuff with another approval of the Activision Blizzard acquisition. And what do you think about Redfall and the optimization issues? If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up. If you're new here, hit that subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Bye.